What's up, traders? Zach here from the Trading Network. Hope you guys are doing well. It is Wednesday, June 16th, and I've got another daily market profile recap for you guys for both the ES and the NQ futures markets. So we are going to switch it up a little bit and dive right into the key levels for the NQ and start off with the prior range high at 14,122. 14,122 was the first level I was interested in, and because we had such a tight overnight profile, I was looking at this as a possible extension level, and if we broke the lows, then a possible extension into here, which we will discuss. So we started with the prior range high, 14,122, working into the prior value area high at 14,067 right here. Third key level on NQ I was looking at was the prior point of control at 14,027 right here, which was as well as a point of control was a naked POC, which means that this is a point of control in the profile that was formed. And after we formed that yesterday, we had not, of course, touched that in a regular trading hour session. So that was a very important level to look at and watch out for reaction towards if we were able to move through, the overnight POC and things like that. So let me go ahead and hide these levels just so things are even more clear here. And we will get into the second to last key level on NQ, which was 14,000. That was yesterday's low. And last but not least, we had another naked POC lurking down here at 13,956, which was the point of control from June 11th's regular trading hours session. Now, just like yesterday's POC, this was a level that was created. This is where the most business was done, or the most time was spent, both most volume, you can see the volume POC and the TPO POC basically at the same spot here. So most volume was spent and the most business was done there. So with this naked POC here, just to reiterate, this means that since this was formed, we had not come down and touch it in a regular trading hour session. We got very, very close in the next profile within 2 ticks technically on NQ. So you could call it touched, but this was a very important level to look after. You could use this as a target. And if we broke this level here, you can see with these smaller profiles as well, very likely that we are working back into these 13,800 levels that I referred to earlier in the week and in my weekly forecast. So moving on over into the key levels for ES, starting first and foremost with the prior range high at 42.4825. Just like NQ, that prior range high is very often a key level and an important level to watch when the next session is opening up. Second key level on ES was the overnight high, 42.40, and the third level, just a little bit below that, less than 10 points below that, was the overnight low. So our overnight profile last night was 8.75 points, exceptionally small. Even a 26-point overnight range, pretty small compared to what we were used to, the past several months. So it's very interesting to see, to wake up in the morning, see such a small profile and have a very tight range to say, okay, well, if these levels break, we're very likely to get continuation to the downside here. And that is precisely what we got. So that fourth key level below the overnight low was the 42.27 level. That was a naked POC, and that was a naked POC from not yesterday's profile, but Monday's profile, 42.27 right here. And that was tapped not in the initial balance, but a little bit after the initial balance was formed. And last but not least, I was looking at the 42.24 level, which was not only the value area low from the June 14th regular trading hour session, but it was the range low as well. So a lot of good confluence there, and ended up being our POC for the day within 1 tick. So scrolling down here, getting into the summary and the pre-market analysis, we did have FOMC today. We got a huge move around 2 p.m. Eastern, or I should say right at 2 p.m. Eastern on the dot when that information came out. So that is a really good example of why we use a stop loss and why we always want to make sure that we are protected or just flat when high impact news events are occurring. So pay attention to the economic calendar, and that will help you guys significantly stay out of trades when price gets violent because of quick news events just like that. So scrolling down a little bit, you can see that the overnight inventory was balanced on ES and NQ. So pulling up the levels here, you can see that all of my major levels on ES were bunched together. You can see settlement 42.36, prior initial balance low 42.35. You can see that overnight high, value area high from yesterday, basically the same exact level. So a lot of tight levels here. And once we broke those levels to the downside, well, all hell broke loose essentially for the bulls, and the bears remained in control, and they are still in control currently. So overnight inventory was balanced on NQ and ES, meaning that a majority of price action was not above or below settlement, and settlement instead split the overnight profile, which is exactly what we see here. At the time of writing, we were looking to open inside yesterday's range and value on NQ and ES. This means that there has not been any change in sentiment since the previous regular trading hours session, and that there is no directional conviction present on either index. Because we were opening within the range and value from the previous session, we were more likely to see ranging price action present today. We can also take the size of yesterday's range and superimpose that over an extreme from yesterday to give us a potential of today's range size once again. So we got, as you guys see, a much larger extension than yesterday's range size. So that, in this case, would have worked for a bit of a measured move, which I'll show you guys here. So if we take yesterday's profile, 20 points, we superimpose that over yesterday's value area high as well as the overnight high, which is where we ended up for today's high. That would have given us a measured move right down into this 42.20 level. And because we broke that, we had an opening of the opportunity to move down into these lower levels, 42.08, 41.97, prior lows, overnight session, and regular trading hour session there. And that is where we currently are living at the moment. So scrolling down a little bit and getting into the rest of the pre-market analysis, today I was looking at the overnight highs once again as the line in the sand levels on both ES and NQ. This time at 42.40 and 14.48 respectively. Now, if I pop over to NQ, you guys will see the overnight high was 14.55, and we moved up about 7 points after I finished this trade plan. But the overnight high was my line in the sand. Now, if we could move and hold above those levels, I was going to look for upside pressure, breaking the range and continuation to at least yesterday's highs. If we could not move and hold above those levels, I was looking for a move back down to yesterday's value area low, first and foremost. And as you see, I say here, if that breaks, then likely a move back into yesterday's range lows, which is exactly what we got. And we got a much further extension once again on both ES and NQ from yesterday's range lows. NQ's range lows yesterday being 14,075, and you can see we ended up today right around, well, our low for the day was 13,830. So just to reiterate, my general thought this morning was that I was looking to see if we could get acceptance above the overnight highs on both NQ and ES. If we could hold above those levels, I was looking for a move to test the highs from yesterday. We could not even get to the highs from yesterday on either index, okay? Now, because we could not move above the overnight highs, let alone get to yesterday's highs, well, that tells us that it's very likely that the bears are in control. So we rejected from the overnight high, we rejected from the value area high on ES, and we rejected basically from this prior overnight low from the 14th into the 15th on NQ. Very, very telling. Larger time frame players are not interested in holding price or purchasing this instrument above the overnight highs, okay? And when you see that, well, look for short opportunity into our previous profile levels. So that's what I was looking for. And getting into our summary here, you will be able to look at the line in the sand, and we'll see how price reacted to the line in the sand here. So getting back to ES, the line in the sand level was the overnight high, which lined up with the value area high right here, okay? Now, we could not even move 2 points above the overnight high. Not bullish whatsoever. We have an open test drive to the downside. This is the second highest directional conviction profile open. Now, because we open within range and value, we're likely to range until one side breaks. Now, because we get the open test drive, that can almost immediately tell you we're probably going to break this range pretty quick here. So we open, we move up, we test the highs, we reject, and we drive. And we drive all the way down for essentially the entirety of the day. And we do a large majority of our business below the lows from the overnight, below the lows from yesterday's regular trading hour session, below the lows from really a lot of our most recent sessions. So it will be very interesting to see if price can get back up to this 42.20 level. If so, that's going to be a telling area. Could be a good area for a short if, price action is showing us rejection. But if we get back above, then I will indeed look for a move back into these highs from today, the overnight session, and the value area high from yesterday. Now, with that little tangent discussed, let's get into the actual targets. And it should be very clear that we did not hit any upside targets, and it was all moved to the downside. Starting first and foremost with 42.37. 42.37 was yesterday's point of control, and that was swiftly hit off the open. Next downside target was 42.33. That was just 4 points below that. That was yesterday's value area low. Just below that, we had 42.3150, which was the overnight low. And because we had tight profiles, I had tight targets. I want to make sure that we have good levels to trade off of, even if we're operating in very tight ranges. And then if the ranges break, it's as easy as scrolling out, looking at our old profile levels, looking at where multiple profile levels line up, things like this, and then using these areas as good targets. So the next downside target was 42.28, and you guys guessed it, that was yesterday's low. So last but not least, we had this naked POC just about a point below that, and that was really all I wrote down for the day. And I was looking for, a break and hold below this, which is indeed what we got. And then, like I said, that opened up these further downside targets. But it's important to me to take things one level at a time, so I don't, on a really small overnight profile, on a less than 10-point overnight profile, I'm not going to project, 20, 30, 50 points on ES or 200 points on NQ, to be fair, until we start breaking these major levels, which we did. So, for those in the Discord, you could see, or you could hear me discuss that, all right, we're breaking, major level 42.25 here. This has been a huge line in the sand, and, breaking this is going to open up these lower profile levels here, which again is what we got. So it's very, very, very important to take things one level at a time and don't get carried away with, trade ideas that aren't playing out in front of your eyes. Just let the market give you the info and then take it and treat it properly. Now, moving on over into the NASDAQ futures for my NQ fam. We are going to start off with something very similar, the line in the sand. You guys guessed it, the overnight high. And what we did get 40 points above the overnight high. So we did hit our first and got very close to our second upside target, which was this level right here. So if you did get long on the break of the overnight high, there was some availability for targets to the upside. First target was that 1467 level, which was yesterday's value area high. So about a 10 points, 12 point scalp on that. And again, if you could hold, then you were able to get about 40 points on the upside before we got rejected. So very, very similar with that said, we had the open here. We had the much stronger test to the upside, and then we drove down on NQ. So once we drove down, we started working through those lower downside targets, starting first and foremost with 1427, which was yesterday's point of control. You can see that level right there. We then proceeded to move down into yesterday's regular trading hours low at 14,000 here on NQ. The third downside target that we hit briefly after that actually was the value area low from the session before that. This was Monday's session right here, 13,985. And that target was hit in H period. So we did have to be a little bit patient. But again, if you were patient and you watch price action, watch the behavior shift, watch it start rejecting from the moving averages, watch the moving averages cross to the downside, watch the oscillator struggle to reset to the upside, lots of signals in addition to the market profile structure that could have helped you along the way to continue to take shorts and keep your bias to the downside until something really changed. So moving into our second to last downside target, that was 13,956. That was the point of control from the June 11th regular trading hours session. And we moved swiftly after hitting that 956 level into the lows from that same session at 13,924. So all in all, we ended up going significantly further, about 100 points further than our last downside target on NQ. But that is quite all right because we had a lot of opportunity, both on the upside and a ton of opportunity on the downside on NQ, especially. So again, if you were able to be patient, if you were able to use these levels to your advantage for my trade plans, or if you guys are, using the market profile on your own, make sure that you are treating these levels kind of like dominoes, where if, yesterday's low breaks, then look for the previous session's low to get tested. And if that breaks, look for the previous session's low to get tested. Today it was really that simple. And on a lot of days, it really is that simple indeed if you can continue to check in with yourself. I take notes all the time. I have my trade plan right here connected to the side of my monitor. I have a clipboard right here where I'm taking notes. I am reminding myself throughout the entire session, what I need to do, what I need to focus on. If I, took a poor trade on my last setup, I'm grabbing my clipboard and saying, hey, Zach, make sure that you're waiting for the oscillators to reset, or make sure that you're waiting for just more than a test of a major profile level. Make sure you're waiting for, all of your technical factors to be aligned before you take that trade. So I just wanted to, point that out and remind you guys to use all of the things that you have at your disposal to your advantage. The profile, the candlestick structure, things like the TTN indicator package if you guys have access to that, or if you guys have your own indicator package that you use. It's all about finding a system and finding a setup that works well with our own brains, that you can repeat like a recipe, that you can get down and build that mental muscle memory. So I hope that this stuff is helping you guys significantly in your trading. I really hope that you guys are taking value from each and every one of these videos that I put out. I hope that you are learning just even a very tiny bit more about market profile in each one of these videos. And if you are, I would really appreciate it if you guys would leave a comment down below and let me know that this stuff is helping you. It really does make a difference. With all of that said, I want to thank you guys immensely for taking the time to watch this content. If you guys do like what you see, again, please feel free to like and subscribe down below and also leave a comment. It is greatly appreciated. If you guys would like to learn more about what we do here at the Trading Network, please feel free to check out the links in the description below as well, where you will first and foremost find a link to our free Facebook group, where I release these trade plans based on market profile analysis every day, Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. In addition to our Facebook group, check out our website in the description below as well, thetradingnetwork.io, where you can find more information on one-on-one mentorship with me. I offer 4-week programs, I offer 10-week programs, and a few other varying lengths. These are customized programs to the trader. I work with crypto traders, futures traders, options traders. I will show you guys my strategies. I will teach you guys my mindset techniques, my pregame routine, my technical checkboxes, and really everything that I learned in my journey, my struggle and my journey, I should say, to become a consistently profitable trader. In addition to my mentorship programs, you guys can learn more about the Trading Network Proprietary Indicator Package. You can also learn more about joining our private Discord group, where you can watch me trade live on a daily basis, Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern. That is at New York Open, and I mainly trade the ES and the NQ futures markets, as we review here on a daily basis. And last but not least, you guys can learn more about purchasing access to the Fundamentals of Futures Trading course, which is a comprehensive course where I go over mindset techniques, my strategies, my indicators, and much more. If you guys have any questions about anything that I mentioned in this video, products or technical analysis included, please do not hesitate to hit me up anytime on Facebook, Discord. Again, leave a comment here on YouTube, Instagram, any way that you can find me. I would be happy to help any way that I can, and I appreciate you being a part of the Trading Network. I will see you guys in the next video.